Gold participants and listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And here at Gold, we love to connect with professionals in the field of maternal child health and experts that are in the forefront of hot topics in the field. And one of these experts is with me here today. Welcome, Tamara Hawkins.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is lovely to have you here. And you are part of the Gold Learning Online Tonguetie Symposium of 2019. Isn't that correct?
Yes, I am. I'm very excited, actually.
Wonderful. And yeah, we will talk about your presentation in just a little bit. We want to dive into that. But before we do so, where in the world are you located? We are an international conference here. We have our listeners are from all over the world, so it's always exciting to learn where our speakers are from.
I am currently in Fort Lee, New Jersey, by way of Harlem and the Bronx. So I live in Jersey and I practice within the tri-state area.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us here. And so let us know a little bit about yourself too. What is your background and how did you end up where you are now?
I am primarily a nurse and I wanted to get into maternal health forever. I thought I was going to become an obstetrician, but I learned that in medical school you had to dissect a cadaver, and
Mm.
I just was not about that life. I just could not foresee myself working in a lab with real bodies. So I decided to go to school to become a midwife. My sister is also a nurse, and I went to NYU for nursing. And I worked maternity units. I did everything to become a midwife, including working at a birthing center. And as I was working in a birthing center, my focus started to turn more into childbirth education and lactation support. So I had my daughter when I was in college, my first year in college, and I wasn't able to take the classes. I read the books, and the books just say, take the baby, put the baby to the breast.
Mhm.
Just like it says, do your breathing, squat, and the baby will eventually come out. But it really doesn't work that way in real life. I'm like, no, something is missing. The what I missed in class is the real deal. Like what should I really have known to be prepared to give birth and to feed my baby? And that's when I turned to education instead of actually going directly to become a midwife. And I love that portion. I love being able to answer the questions, talk about the real experiences, whether a person was giving birth in the home, hospital, or the birthing center, and then also supporting them afterwards in really simply in the beginning getting their babies to latch,
Mhm.
just getting their babies to latch and initiating feeding with such it was such strife to so many women in the hospital and also the birthing center, but it gave me, I guess, a little bit of healing every time. I was like, yes, your baby's doing it. And there was no one to interrupt them, being that protector of, no, she is breastfeeding right now. You have to come
Right.
back, like really holding space for families in that way.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for sharing your journey. It's quite interesting to see the steps, all the steps you've taken, and the evolution of where you are now. It's quite fascinating. So thank you for sharing that. And one thing I want to say here, I love your title of the presentation. If our listeners can look at the screen, be, having the little baby shark and doot doot in there, and this will be stuck with us in all of our heads.
I'm
But
so sorry.
no, but it's wonderful because, and talking to you, I can hear also that you interject into your teaching quite a little bit of humor, right? And fun.
I try. Yes, I try.
So tell us, how do you practice? Do you have your own clinic or how does it work? So tell us a little bit about your day-to-day life.
So I have a private practice in Manhattan, and I see clients 2 to 3 times a week, and I share space with a pediatric office. So it's really nice that I'm part of something bigger than just lactation. I can also be present with other professionals. However, my practice is completely independent from the lactation practice. So it's like my own little niche within a bigger realm.
Hmm. Now, when you're teaching, and you mentioned in the beginning your own journey when you read the book, and in theory it sounded all good, but then when it came to the practical matter, the story was quite different. Now, when you see your clients and with everything you've learned, what is there that you wished, and probably there's many things you wished you had known, somebody would have told you, but one thing that you make sure you teach your clients or talk to your clients about that you find absolutely important, that you wished somebody would have told you or taught you?
Oh, to trust yourself. I so often not only the mothers but the partners come in with a list of so many questions based on things that they've heard on different blog posts or different books or
Mhm.
what I think we've all in this field have heard the nurses told me something different, the lactation consultant told me something different, the doctors told me something different, all within 2 days of
Right.
being in the hospital. So I really try to impart on them that everything that you hear, most of it could possibly be true, but
Hmm.
what feels right for you? What does your gut instinct? What feels good? Because that is all that matters when it comes to making a decision. So recently, a mom sent me an email asking me when she should wean her baby. I was
Hmm.
like, that is something I cannot answer for you, but tell me, when are you ready to wean your baby? So I kind of turned it back on her because I find that so many new parents don't trust their feelings, don't trust their
Right.
thoughts. They don't think that anything that they know is right, and they always are looking for a quote unquote expert
Right.
answer. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like you don't always need that. Whatever it is that you want to do is probably perfectly fine.
That's wonderful. Because as you said, so many, especially new parents, or every baby is different. If even if a parent already has a baby, but it's so ingrained in our system that we're looking for experts to tell us, yes, you're doing it right. No, you're doing it wrong. No, you need to do it this way. So having somebody out there working in the field telling them it's okay to trust yourself. What do you want to do? What is it that you is feeling it feels right for you? That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Great. So you are part of the Tonguetie Symposium, and this is going to be so exciting. That's going to be 2 days. We're talking tongue tie. We're immersing ourselves in all subjects related to tongue tie. And your presentation, tell us a little bit about it. What will you be presenting on?
I'm going to talk about having a setup in your practice so you can handle the conversation with parents if they just do not want to do anything about the baby's tongue tie. And this is in particular for the clinician who really has a strong feeling that they must get body work or they must get a release or they have to do A, B, C, and D. And it's okay if the parents don't want to do any of that. And sometimes, if we need to look on both sides, the how well does a clinician feel they are confident in teaching about tongue ties and how that actually relays information and builds trust in the parents. Because I do see within the sphere of lactation counselors where it can be a little frustrated when we see if we just do this one thing with your baby, breastfeeding is going to be so much better, or this thing will help to improve your baby's whole outcome in oral facial development. And it just isn't personal. If a parent isn't
Mm.
going with our recommendation is not our decision. We don't make decisions for their babies, and it's nothing personal against us.
Right, and how we handle that. I can imagine this can be quite, as you mentioned, frustrating for the lactation professional, saying like, oh, if that baby just had that little release or just that body work, it could have been so much easier, and the parents don't want to do it. So the frustration is there then, and the parents might feel that, right? And in ways how we communicate with that. So, um,
Exactly.
how do we handle that situation, right?
Hmm. Yeah, it's really understanding that they have built relationships with so many providers most of the time before they see us.
Mm,
So they have been seeing their obstetrician for however many weeks through their pregnancy. They have the trusting relationship with them. If they have already been to a meet the doctor night or they met the doctor before the baby has actually been born, they may have seen the pediatrician several visits before they actually see a lactation consultant. And if the pediatrician is telling them something different
mm,
than what the lactation consultant has, especially if it's the first meeting, then it's going to take
mm.
longer in some instances for that parent to shift their mindset of what has already been set by what was told to them by quote unquote the doctor, the professional. You know,
Right.
sometimes parents just don't see lactation consultants as the professional. Oh, you're just coming to help me breastfeed. You
Ah,
know that,
right.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it can, yeah, it can take a little bit more explanation and more discussion about what's going on. And definite the teaching around this is so important for a a client to actually understand what's going on and actually believe that they're doing the right thing for their baby and that they're not bucking up in the trend because that's what a lot of families are being told. Oh, it's just a trend.
Right, right. Yes, and maybe their physician looked at the baby and go like, "Ah, the baby's fine, it's just,
Yeah.
and here you go as the lactation professional consultant, and you go like, well, it looks like a tongue tie, and then the family says, well, my physician, my doctor says it's not. So who are you to, So I can,
Exactly.
I can see that quite a challenge. So before I let you go, and I'm very excited about this presentation, can't wait for it at the Tongue-Tie Symposium. Without giving too much away, but what is a little nugget? What are you hoping our delegates will take away from it?
I'm hoping the delegates will be able to create some type of a system that's going to make them more confident in
Mm,
talking to their clients above and beyond this is a tongue tie and it can hurt breastfeeding, but how that affects the baby's whole entire oral facial development, their airway development, long-term development for the baby, and be able to put that into some type of a program for their clients. So they can just give it to the clients and say, okay, this is what we discussed. Here's some more information, and here are more references for you to continue to research this so that you can make a decision that is best for you.
Great, wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Tamara Hawkins, for spending time with me here today.
I am so grateful that I have this opportunity to be here with you today.
And we are looking forward to your presentation. It's coming up pretty soon. The live presentation is on September 16, 2019. And to our listeners now, to find out when this presentation is held in your time zone and on the other presentations in the Tongue Tie Symposium, go to our website, go to golearning.com, and we hope to see you all at the Tongue Tie Symposium of 2019. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Bye bye.